Hello, boys and girls. It's me, Miss Madison. Welcome to our online classroom. Today, we are going to review point of view. Please remember, currently, this resource will not be used for any grade as it relates to Shelby County Schools. The standard that we're going to be covering is RL 5.6. Describe how a narrator's or speaker's point of view influences how events are described. Objectives. We will define point of view, understand and define first person point of view, second person point of view, and third person point of view. Also remember, boys and girls, that you will understand how changing the point of view of a story can actually influence your story. You will find a point of view of several paragraphs. Before we begin, let's go over our online expectations. Please take advantage of each available resource. Do your very best. Comment below with any questions that you may have about this lesson. Now let's begin. To begin, let's define point of view. The point of view is the voice behind the story. It is the who is telling the story. When looking for a point of view, you want to ask yourself a couple of questions in order to determine the point of view. Figure out who is telling the story. Use inferences to figure out the character's point of view. And remember, an inference is background knowledge, which is something that you already know, plus key details from the text, which will give you your inference. Remember that depending on the point of view, which is who is telling the story may change. Quick check. Comment below if you remember what point of view is. If you said the point of view is the voice behind the story, it is the who is telling the story, then you were correct and you're ready to move on. The Three Little Pigs. This is probably my favorite example as it relates to point of view. We all know the original story of the Three Little Pigs because it is told from the pig's point of view. Now, a story that you may or may not have heard is the true story of the Three Little Pigs. That story is told from the wolf's point of view. Now, in the original story, there was a big bad wolf. He was considered the villain or the bad guy. Now, in the true story of the Three Little Pigs, the wolf was nice and all he wanted to do was buy some sugar. Back to the original story, the wolf huffed and puffed and blew the pigs' houses down. In the true story, from the wolf's point of view, the wolf sneezed and knocked the houses down by mistake. He did not blow them down. In the original story, he really wanted to eat the pigs. In the true story, he only ate the pigs because it would have been wasteful not to. That's an example of a story being told from a different point of view or perspective. And the original story is the story that we all know, which had the wolf being the bad guy. And the true story of the Three Little Pigs, it was told from the wolf's point of view, which gave us a better understanding of who the wolf was, which in turn made us feel like, hey, maybe he's not really that bad guy. Now, when we talk about point of view, the first one we're going to talk about is first person point of view. It means that a character in the story tells a story. Key pronouns I, me, we, or my. If you're ever asked to explain yourself or to tell what happened, you will use first person point of view because you are telling the story from your point of view. An example that I have here is yesterday I took a trip to the market. As I turned the key and pulled out of my driveway, I couldn't help but notice the dog in my yard. Now we know that is first person point of view because of the key words, which is those pronouns that identify with being first person. So we have I, as relates to the first line, I took a trip to the market, and as I turned the key, and pulled out of my driveway. I couldn't help but notice the dog in my yard. So because we see those key pronouns being used, we know that it is told from first person point of view. Quick check. What pronouns signal first person point of view? If you said I, me, we, my, signal first person point of view, you're absolutely correct and you are ready to move on. Now, let's move on to second person point of view. Second person is used to address the reader. It's like someone is talking to you. Keywords, which are the pronouns you, your, and yours. An example, before you go to school, make sure you walk your dog, brush your teeth, don't forget your book bag, or lock the door behind you. Something that I remember as it relates to second person, if you're given instructions or directions, you're going to use the pronoun you, which will help you determine that something is written in second person point of view. Before you go to school, make sure to walk your dog and brush your teeth. Don't forget your book bag or to lock the door behind you. Quick check. What pronouns signal second person point of view? If you said you, your, and yours signal second person point of view, you are absolutely correct. Third person point of view. A narrator outside of the story tells the story. Keyword pronouns. He, she, or they. The author may also use the character's name. Example. The moose was getting ready to walk out into the road. He moved his head to the left and turned to the right. There was not a car in sight. He began to cut across. Now, let's look at the example again and look for those keywords, which are those pronouns, that help us identify this as being third person point of view. The moose was getting ready to walk into the road. He moved his head to the left and turned right. There was not a car in sight. He began to cross the road. Now we have identified those pronouns that helps us determine that this is third person point of view. Quick check. What pronouns signal third person point of view? If you said he, she, they, or the character's name signal third person point of view, you're absolutely correct. Now, as it relates to after identifying if it is first person, second person, or third person point of view, if you identify it as being third person point of view, next you have to determine if it's third person limited or omniscient. Limited. A narrator outside of the story tells the story, which qualifies it for being third person point of view, and it's the same in omniscient. It has the same keyword pronouns, he, she, or they. But the difference is, with limited, the narrator knows what one character thinks or how he or she feels. As it relates to omniscient, the narrator knows what many characters think and how they feel. So remember, limited, you're only limited to one character, thoughts, or feelings. And with omniscient, you know many character, thoughts, or feelings. Now, let's do a quick check. What is the difference between third person limited and third person omniscient? Third person limited is when you know what one character thinks and feels. Third person omniscient is when you know what many characters think and feel. Now, Let's practice. We're going to look at a couple of different paragraphs, and then we have to identify which point of view it is. After identifying which point of view it is, we also have to determine what pronouns gave us our answer. I'm going to read the first slide to you. On the other side, we're going to spend 30 seconds each on each slide so that you will have an opportunity to read it at home. Let's read our first paragraph. I am getting ready to go to the store, but I forgot my keys in the house. Now I have to go back in and get them. The cold breeze is sending a chill up my spine. Maybe I will grab a coat while I'm outside. What is the point of view? Our options are first person, third person limited, and third person omniscient. You should have selected first person. As I was reading the paragraph, I noticed the key words, which are the pronouns that represents first person point of view. I, my, I'm. Those words are highlighted. Let's move on to the next set. Remember, I will be on the slide for 30 seconds. If you need more time, please pause the video. Okay, you are going to the dentist today. You have to have your mouth checked for cavities. Don't be scared. The doctor will take good care of you. What's the point of view? If you said second person, you are correct. Because remember, second person uses the pronoun you and your. Let's look at the next one. There are a lot of reasons I don't like to sleep in the same room as Fudge. I found that out 2 months ago when my bedroom was painted. I had to sleep in Fudge's room for 3 nights because the paint smell made me cough. What's the point of view? If you said first person, you are absolutely correct. Because as it relates to pronouns related to first person point of view, I and me are highlighted in the paragraph. Let's look at the next one. For one thing, he talks in his sleep. He must be scared of something. He screamed, saying that a monster was after him and then woke up to run to the bathroom. What's the point of view? If you said third person limited, you are correct. We know that it's third person because it uses the pronoun he, his, and him. We know that it is limited because, remember, limited only know one character's thoughts or feelings. So it's only saying one because it says he must be scared of something. He screamed, saying that a monster was after him. Then he woke up to run to the bathroom. So by the writer stating that he was scared of something, that helps us determine that he knew the thoughts and or feelings of that character. Let's look at the next one. I clicked on a little early. But if you said third person omniscient, you are absolutely correct. We know that it is third person because it identifies with those keywords, pronoun that makes it third person. It said Fudge, which is a character's name. He, she, doctor, mom. Also, it tells us the feeling and or thoughts of more than one character. So we know that Fudge was feeling sick. Mom was nervous. So that's two characters that we know so far. And we know that the doctor felt relieved. So by the reader, which is us, being able to determine the thoughts and feelings of more than one character, that made this paragraph third person omniscient. Let's take a look at the next one. He was happy to be going to Grandma's house. He had not seen her in over a year, and there was nothing like Grandma's love. He sat quietly in the back of his parents' car, looking out of the window, wondering if Grandma would be happy to see him too. What is the point of view? If you said third person limited, you are absolutely correct. We know that it is third person because it says the pronoun he, her, him, his. We know that it is limited because it only speaks on the thoughts or feelings of one character. Let's take a look at the next one. She went down to the attic, afraid because there was a huge storm brewing outside. Grandma was on her way down, but she moved slowly because she was afraid she might fall. The two of them huddled together in a corner and held on for comfort. For the first time since hearing about the storm, they both felt ready to face it. What is the point of view? If you said third person limited, you are absolutely correct. It is third person because it uses the pronoun she, her, they, and characters named Grandma, the two of them. And it is limited because we only know how one character feels. She went down the attic afraid because it's only telling us her point of view or her thoughts or feelings because she was afraid. Then that's why it is limited. Self-assessment. Think about your favorite book or movie that has a villain or a bad guy. The way the story or movie is told causes that character to seem like the bad guy. Rewrite that story or movie from the bad guy's point of view. Maybe he won't seem as bad after all. Feel free to type your story in the comment section so that I may read it. I look forward to hearing from you. Remember, stay safe and healthy. I'll see y'all next time.